So how do you approach leadership, especially when leadership development lacks a map, a way of becoming a leader? Some say leadership is about leading others, but we say leadership begins with leadership of the self. If you can't walk the talk, you can't lead others. So leadership of the self is the foundation. We can also ask, why do leaders lead? And we say, in order to affect something beyond the leader and the team. So we now have leadership of self, leading the team, and leading in the world. All three are important. If that's the spatial dimension, the second dimension is about time. To start with, leaders lead in the here and now. They work with the current reality. In addition, we say leaders usher in the future. They see beyond the here and now to some future destination. Finally, they lead along a path from the present to the future. When we stretch space vertically and time horizontally, we have 9 spaces. You can see the self you are now, the leader you can become, and your journey there. The same for team and for world. So now we have 9 leadership spaces to work with. It turns out that some established forms of leadership slot into this map. For example, an authentic leader leads themselves congruently in the present moment. That's the foundation in the bottom left. While a visionary leader realizes and communicates a vision of an as yet uncreated future. It's up in the top right. Let's look at all 9 forms of leadership. Adult leaders connect with others on a basis of mutual respect. Grounded leaders are aware of what's happening in the here and now. Journeying leaders are aware they're on a journey. Their own development remains a priority. Coaching leaders help their team to find their way past the hurdles. Challenging leaders anticipate the problems that are just around the corner. Inspired leaders sense more of their own amazing potential. And inspirational leaders sense others' potential and enable them to get it too. And we already mentioned visionary leaders. You may begin to sense where you're naturally strongest and which forms of leadership you would most like to develop. We propose that anyone can develop themselves in any of these forms of leadership. You aren't limited to one form, but you may have some strengths in some areas more than in others. The same for teams. Within a team, you may want to have some people who can bring grounded leadership to bear, others challenging leadership, and so on. A 3-dimensional leadership team. While each form calls on different capabilities, are there some factors that run through them all? We propose 3. Awareness. What you're not aware of in yourself, in your team, in your circumstances, you won't do anything about. So it turns out that awareness is the foundation of, well, everything. And leaders go further. They connect. They really connect with themselves and with others and with problems. You know when you focused on a problem well enough and long enough that the solution naturally emerges. With awareness underpinning connection, we have the basis for transformation. Because that is what leaders do. They transform. And ACT, or ACT, represents the 3rd dimension of leadership. In each of the 9 spaces we can act. Take the middle level. You can work with the team members as they are in the here and now. You can work with them on their limiting beliefs that keep them where they are and help them to develop their future vision for themselves. Imagine that each of these 9 leadership spaces has 3 levels. 1 for awareness, 1 for connection, and 1 for transformation. You actually have 27 spaces. Now, since everything a leader does concerns self, team, and the world they together affect, and since leaders must operate in the now, along a path into the future, and since leaders must be aware and connect and transform, we have these 27 fields of leadership to work in and develop. The question is, how do you want to develop yourself, your leaders, and your organization?